You're a rational person, right? You make your own calls. You'd never fall for a cult. Except you already have. Several, in fact. Turns out your brain ships with a factory setting, terrified of ending up alone. Every group chat, every office click, every hashtag you ride for is just a modern tribe your neurons scramble to join. And the wildest part? You're holding the cage door wide open while swearing you're free range. We all chase belonging, but don't mistake traffic for travel. You can be plugged into an algorithm's socket without surfing its cloud. Pick your feeds carefully. What do you think is behind this? You want to know what's in a cult? Let me tell you. A charismatic leader, check. A group of devoted followers, check. Rituals, ceremonies, check. All these are the trappings of cults, places where obedience and compliance take center stage and your individual thought gets lost in the shuffle. But here's the kicker. These are all the trappings of your average online community. In other words, a cult. I know what you're thinking. Me? In a cult? No way. But you might be closer than you think. This video explores the surprising ways our brains get hijacked by groups. So stick around if you want to know whether you're trapped in one of these mental prisons. Just a reminder before we start. This video is not about belittling legitimate communities or groups. Rather, it's about shedding light on subtle forms of manipulation and undue influence that we might not consciously recognize. Our goal is to empower you with knowledge and critical thinking skills to navigate social situations more effectively. With that said, let's dive into the fascinating psychology of how cults ensnare their members and keep them trapped. Section 1. The primal fear. Before we talk about modern-day cults, let's rewind back to our primal roots. Back in the days of the savannah, life was a constant struggle for survival. And being part of a tribe meant safety. It meant protection from predators and harsh weather conditions. But it also meant a different kind of danger. The danger of being rejected by your own kind. Neuroscientist Helen Fisher, who studies love and relationships, explains that humans are biologically wired to avoid rejection because being alone could mean certain death. She calls it the terrified of being alone circuit. This circuit lights up the same areas of the brain that are activated when we experience physical pain. So if you've ever felt the pang of loneliness or the fear of being excluded, know that you're not alone. It's all thanks to your brain's hardwiring. In today's world, being alone doesn't necessarily mean starvation or exposure, but the emotional toll can be just as real. Loneliness can lead to depression, anxiety, and even physical health problems. It's a powerful motivator that can push us to do things we wouldn't normally do, like joining a cult. Section 2. Modern Tribe. 1. Algorithmic echo chambers. Now let's fast forward to today and take a look at a modern-day cult, the echo chamber. We're all familiar with social media platforms like Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. They're designed to keep us engaged and coming back for more. But what many of us don't realize is that these platforms are also designed to keep us in a bubble. They're controlled by algorithms that curate our feeds based on our likes and behaviors. As a result, we only see content that confirms our existing beliefs, and we're shielded from anything that might challenge them. Silicon Valley is home to some of the brightest minds in the world, and they're not in the business of making things that are altruistic. They're in the business of making money. And what's the best way to make money? By getting people hooked on their products. Enter the science of addiction. Many tech companies hire psychologists and neuroscientists to help them create products that are as addictive as possible. They know what triggers our brain's reward system, and they use that knowledge to keep us coming back for more. Take likes, for example. When you post something online and get a bunch of likes, it triggers the release of dopamine, the brain's feel-good chemical. It's a positive reinforcement that tells your brain this behavior, posting and getting likes, is good and should be repeated. Pretty soon, you're spending hours scrolling through your feed, constantly seeking that next hit of dopamine. Now here's the kicker. These algorithms don't just keep us entertained, they also shape our opinions and beliefs. Because of the way they control our feeds, we're only exposed to information that reinforces what we already believe. This creates echo chambers where we're surrounded by people who think like us, and anyone who disagrees with us is silenced. It's a perfect breeding ground for cults. Section 3. Modern Tribe. Number 2. Corporate Culture. Now let's shift our attention to another modern cult, corporate culture. Think about your workplace for a moment. Do you notice any cult-like behavior? Maybe there's a dress code that everyone has to follow. Or maybe there's a company-wide slogan that everyone has to embrace. Maybe there's even a charismatic leader who everyone looks up to. These are all examples of corporate culture, and they can be a breeding ground for cult-like behavior. When you walk into a big company, you're often greeted by a sea of people wearing matching t-shirts or company swag. It's a clear signal that individuality is not valued here, and that everyone is expected to conform to the company's image. There may be a company-wide mission statement or set of values that everyone is expected to follow. But let's face it, how often are these mission statements plastered around the office, not just to remind you of their importance, but to make sure you don't forget them? We all know that going against the grain or rocking the boat can jeopardize your career. Speaking up with a different opinion or suggesting a new idea can be met with resistance or even punishment. The fear of losing your job or being demoted is enough to keep most people in line. But why? Why do so many of us put up with toxic work environments or abusive bosses? The answer, according to cult experts, is simple. We're afraid of being alone. Section 4. Modern Tribe, Nurgle 3 Political Identity. Now let's talk about a cult that's taken over our political landscape, political identity. It's no secret that politics can be a divisive topic, but in recent years, it's become increasingly toxic. People have become so entrenched in their political beliefs that they're willing to demonize anyone who disagrees with them. It has created a climate of fear where people are afraid to speak up or share their beliefs for fear of being ostracized, canceled, or worse, sent to the afterlife. But why is this happening? Why are we so willing to label people and demonize them for their beliefs? The answer, once again, lies in our primal fear of being alone. We all want to feel like we belong, and that means finding a group of like-minded people who share our beliefs and values. For many of us, that group is a political party. So when faced with a political issue, we don't just analyze the facts and form an opinion. We rally behind a flag, a candidate, or a party, a familiar symbol of what we think we know. And the problem with this is that it leaves little room for nuance, empathy, or understanding. After all, why would we bother listening to someone who sees things differently when we're surrounded by people who agree with us all the time? But this tendency to seek out like-minded people and shut out opposing views has dangerous consequences. It leads to polarization, extremism, and the erosion of our shared values and principles. It turns us into a society of tribes, each shouting at each other from our respective caves. Section 5. How the hack works. Now that we've explored some of the modern-day cults that exist, it's time to look at how these groups operate and manipulate their members. What are the tactics they use to gain control and keep people in line? According to cult experts, the answer is simple. They play on our basic human needs and fears. One of the main ways cults maintain control is through a process called love bombing. This involves showering new members with affection, praise, and acceptance to make them feel special and valued. It's a way of creating a sense of obligation and indebtedness towards the group. Imagine joining a new club or group and being welcomed with open arms. Everyone is friendly and accepting, and you feel like you finally found your place where you truly belong. But there's more. You're praised for your qualities and told how much they appreciate you. You feel on top of the world. You're loved, you're accepted, and you feel like you're part of something bigger than yourself. It's a heady feeling, and you might find yourself becoming more and more dependent on the group for validation. But this is just the beginning. Another tactic cults use is something called us versus them mentality. This involves creating a sense of division and conflict between the group and the outside world. Members are told that there's a great divide between them and everyone else, and that they must remain loyal to the group to protect themselves from the outside world. This creates a strong sense of loyalty and makes it difficult for people to leave. Picture this. You've been part of this group for a while now, and you've really grown to love the sense of community and belonging you found within it. But lately, you've started to notice some cracks in the facade. The love bombing has stopped, and now there's a sense of tension and conflict between the members. The us versus them mentality has taken hold, and you're constantly hearing negative things about the outside world and the people who live there. You feel like you're under attack, and the only way to protect yourself is to double down on your commitment to the group. But is it worth it? Thought-terminating cliches is the final piece of the cult puzzle. These are phrases or ideas that are used to shut down conversation and discourage critical thinking. They're designed to make people conform and prevent them from questioning the group's teachings or practices. For example, when you hear, "It's not okay to think that way," you're being told that your thoughts are wrong and shouldn't be entertained. Or when you hear, anyone who doesn't agree with us is evil or a fascist, you're being told that there's no point in discussing the matter further because anyone who disagrees is beyond the pale. These thought-terminating cliches create an atmosphere of fear and discourage people from speaking up or asking questions. They're designed to keep people in line and prevent them from leaving the group. Section 6. The exit door. But don't worry, there's always a way out. A way to escape the clutches of these modern-day cults. It starts with awareness. The first step is recognizing that these tactics are being used in the first place. Once you become aware of the signs of manipulation and control, you can start to resist the tactics being used against you. But it's not easy. It takes courage and critical thinking skills to go against the grain and question the status quo. So how can you protect yourself from the dangers of modern-day cults? Here are 3 questions to ask yourself. First, would I still believe this if my crew roasted me for it? This question helps you assess whether you're being influenced by peer pressure or if you genuinely believe what you're saying. Second, who's cashing in on my terror of quitting? Identifying who benefits from your fear of leaving can shed light on manipulative tactics being used to control you. And third, what's the hourly rate on my identity? Time, cash, values if I stay. Putting a value on what you stand to lose can motivate you to break free from the chains of undue influence. The bottom line, don't be afraid to walk away from a group or community that no longer serves your highest good. If this made you side-eye a group you're in, drop "aha" in the comments and tell us which tribe shocked you most. Subscribe for more self-defense against your own brain. In conclusion, your brain isn't buggy. It's running legacy code written for campfire survival. Tribes aren't villains. They're power tools. Use them. Don't let them use you. Next time the herd beckons, remember, courage isn't zero fear of exclusion. It's deciding your own judgment matters more. Stay curious, stay kind, and keep one foot outside every circle. That's how you keep the mind that keeps you free.